How many capital cities there are in the world is up for debate. The UN officially recognizes 193 countries. So are there 193 capitals? Well, there are also 2 observer states, so that takes us up to 195. However, there are some countries like South Africa who have more than 1, and in fact in South Africa's case, 3. There are also many disputed and overseas territories. So the amount of capitals, depending on your definition, could range from 193 to somewhere over 230. Some capital cities are boring, some are fun and interesting, and some are just straight up bizarre. So in this video, we'll give you some of the most interesting capital cities on Earth, starting off with the capital whose geographical location makes it rather unique. Malabo of Equatorial Guinea. Now, if you are able to tell me what is so special about this capital city and why it has made it into today's video, I'd be seriously impressed, as this country is very unknown. Well, it turns out that Malabo is not even located on Equatorial Guinea's mainland. It is in fact found on an island just off the west coast of Africa. What makes this even more bizarre is that it is closer to Cameroon and Nigeria than it is to Equatorial Guinea. The capital sits on Bioko Island, which is a port city with Spanish colonial architecture. The reason why its capital sits on this island off the mainland is the climate of Equatorial Guinea is quite unbearable. Whereas the island, which sits a bit further north and receives nice winds from the ocean, has a more desirable and livable climate. Next up is Garulmud of Palau, which is the least populated capital city on Earth. Its population is said to be only around 300 or so. Palau as a whole only has a population of around 17,000. Making it the 4th least populated country on Earth, meaning the entire country could fit into Brentford FC's football stadium. Palau is an archipelago of over 500 islands, part of the Micronesia region in the Western Pacific Ocean. Other than its stunning natural beauty, the thing that always stands out for me about this country and its capital is how its Capitol building looks, and how much it resembles the US's. On the other hand, Tokyo, the capital city of Japan, is the world's most populated city by metro and urban area, with a population of over 37 million, which makes it more populated than over 150 countries. For metro and urban area, Jakarta, Indonesia's capital, comes in second. By the city proper measurement, however, Beijing ranks first. Not including microstates and overseas territories, Kuwait city of Kuwait is the capital with the highest percentage of the country's population living in it, at over 70%. Kuwait's population is around 4.5 million, with around 3.3 million living in the capital. The most northern capital city on Earth, again not including overseas territories or autonomous regions, belongs to Reykjavik of Iceland, at 64.1 degrees north. Quite literally on the flip side, Wellington of New Zealand is the world's most southern capital at minus 41.2 degrees south. Wellington is actually by far the most southern capital city, as next would be Australia's Canberra at minus 35.3 degrees south. If we were to include overseas territories, then King Edward Point of South Georgia and the Sandwich Islands would be the most southern capital at minus 54.2 degrees south. These islands belong to the British. The distance between King Edward Point and London is a remarkable 12,200 kilometers as the crow flies. La Paz of Bolivia in South America is the world's highest capital city in terms of altitude, at over 3,600 meters. Now, Bolivia actually has 2 capitals, La Paz and Sucre, which acts as the judicial capital. At 2,810 meters high, Sucre is the 3rd highest capital city in the world. On a side note, is La Paz the capital city with the best backdrop on Earth? It has to be, right? I mean, perhaps Tokyo with Mount Fuji in the background could be more picturesque. What do you think? Can you think of any other capitals with a better backdrop than this? But anyways, on the opposite end of the spectrum, Baku of Azerbaijan is the lowest capital city in the world in terms of altitude. This capital city is only one of two capitals whose elevation is actually below sea level. Amsterdam of the Netherlands sits at -2 meters, and then Baku, incredibly, has an elevation of -28 meters. It is also classed as the largest city in the world below sea level. The reason why Baku is not submerged is because there is land that surrounds it that is above sea level. Baku is on the Caspian Sea, and the surface of the Caspian Sea is below sea level. Wellington and Canberra are the most remote capital cities on Earth. To be a remote capital city, you need to be some distance away from another capital, so there has to be two for this award. So around 2,300 kilometers east of the Australian capital, across the Tasman Sea, you will find Wellington, New Zealand's capital. For reference, as the crow flies, the distance from the UK's capital to Romania's capital, that's London to Bucharest, is around 2,100 kilometers. Within this distance, you will also travel past many other European capitals. Now, there is no way we can make a video about interesting and strange capitals and not mention Pyongyang. Although this is not objective, it is unlikely that you'll find any other capital city that is more bizarre. Most capital cities in the world, especially in Asia, are hectic, loud, and unorganized. However, Pyongyang of North Korea is eerily quiet, reserved, and structured. The Soviet-style wide streets and lack of cars makes it a very weirdly peaceful place. The unfinished Ryogyong Hotel is the second tallest unfinished building on Earth. It towers over the North Korean capital's skyline and stands out like a sore thumb compared to the multicolored apartment blocks that litter the city. Naypyidaw, Myanmar's capital, is another peculiar capital city. It is known as a planned capital, meaning it was built for the purpose of being a capital city. The government of Myanmar envisioned millions of people to move there, but this is yet to happen. I'm sure we've all seen these images before of gigantic highways with no one on them. Ashgabat, the capital of Turkmenistan, is yet another odd capital. Similar to both Pyongyang and Naypyidaw, it is a bit of a ghost town. The city is incredibly unique, filled with white marble buildings and bizarre structures, such as a golden dog, the largest architectural star, and the tallest indoor Ferris wheel. Indonesia's capital, Jakarta, is facing numerous issues. It has very high pollution levels, overpopulation, infrastructure challenges, and is prone to earthquakes. So the government of the world's fourth most populated country has decided to move its capital, and not just down the road, in fact to a different island completely. So Jakarta sits on the island of Java, the world's most populated island at 151 million. By August of 2024, its new capital, Nusantara, is planned to be officially opened. This city will sit on the island of Borneo, to which 73% of the island belongs to the Indonesians. It isn't just Indonesia who is building and planning a new capital city, however. Egypt's new capital city, named no other than New Cairo, sits around 45 kilometers east from the actual capital, Cairo. Cairo, just like Jakarta, is overcrowded and has high levels of pollution, so this new capital is being built to relieve Cairo of some of its congestion, which is set to only get worse. The new administrative capital is expected to cost around $40 billion and looks like something straight off the subreddit page Urban Hell. The newest capital city in terms of a brand new country belongs to Juba of South Sudan, which was officially founded in July of 2011. On the other hand, the oldest continuously inhabited capital city on Earth is said to be Damascus of Syria, which was founded in the 3rd millennium BC. It's such a shame that such a beautiful historical city finds itself in the position that it's in right now. When it comes to capital cities by alphabetical order, can you guess which city comes first? Obviously, it begins with an A, the next letter is a B, and then a U. You've probably guessed it by now. It is Abu Dhabi, the capital city of the United Arab Emirates. For the capital city that comes last in terms of alphabetical order, can you guess which city it is? Here's a clue. It's the only capital city that begins with a Z. It is Zagreb of Croatia. Nauru, a tiny island nation found in Micronesia, has no official capital. But as its government offices are found in Yaren, this is its de facto capital. Switzerland has a very similar story. Its official legislation does not define what its capital city is, even though it has a couple of perfect options like Geneva or Zurich. The Swiss government wanted to avoid choosing a capital to avoid a concentration of power, so Bern is its de facto capital. The Swiss just love being different, don't they? They kind of don't have a capital, their flag is only one of 3 that isn't a rectangle, and they like to remain neutral during political debates. There are a number of countries who have more than one capital. The countries that have 2 capitals are Bolivia, Eswatini, Malaysia, Montenegro, Sri Lanka, the Netherlands, Ivory Coast, Benin, Chile, Georgia, Honduras, South Korea, Tanzania, and Western Sahara. I was actually quite surprised at some of these, especially South Korea, whose new administrative capital is Sejong City, whilst Seoul is its official economic and cultural capital. But as mentioned earlier in the video, there is the case of South Africa, a country with not just 2 capitals, but 3. Do you know what they are? They are Pretoria, Cape Town, and Bloemfontein. There are a handful or 2 of countries whose capital city is the same name as the country. I mean, come on, that's pretty lazy and uninspiring, right? Well, that's if you aren't a city-state country. We'll let those off. So they are Andorra, Djibouti, Guatemala, Kuwait, Luxembourg, Mexico, Monaco, Panama, San Marino, Singapore, and Vatican City. I think that's all of them, right? If we forgot any, please let us know in the comments below. Then there are a handful of countries who have similar names to their capitals. They are Algiers to Algeria, Brasilia to Brazil, Santo Domingo to Dominican Republic, San Salvador to El Salvador, Bissau to Guinea-Bissau, Sao Tome to Sao Tome and Principe, and Tunis to Tunisia. And then you've also got Taipei, which kind of sounds like Taiwan. Again, if we've forgot any, please let us know below. Throughout history, there have been multiple countries who have moved their capital cities. For example, Brazil, Australia, and Nigeria all moved their capitals to be more neutral. Russia apparently moved its capital to Moscow to be more Western. In the 1800s, due to its favourable geography, sheltered harbour, and central location, New Zealand moved its capital from Auckland to Wellington. A dictator of Myanmar moved their capital from Yangon to Naypyidaw, for reasons that are unconfirmed, likely as Naypyidaw is more central and gives more time to respond to a foreign invasion. As mentioned earlier, Indonesia is moving its capital from Jakarta on Java to Borneo due to several issues in the world's 2nd most populated capital. To relieve congestion, Malaysia moved its administrative capital from Kuala Lumpur to Putrajaya, just like what Egypt is doing with Cairo. Pakistan moved its capital from Karachi to Islamabad to reflect the diversity of the Pakistani people. It will be separated from the business and commercial activity of Karachi, and also it will be easily accessible from all parts of the country. And finally, let's use a random capital city generator to find a random capital and learn a little bit about it. So we got Djibouti, which is the capital of, well, Djibouti. Now, I'm quite happy this is what we got, as I know hardly anything about this city. So Djibouti City is located in the southeastern part of Djibouti. It is a coastal city with a population of around 600,000. The city is strategically positioned near major international shipping routes, making it a significant maritime hub. The official languages of Djibouti are Arabic and French. Arabic is widely spoken, while French is commonly used in government, education, and business. Djibouti City has a hot desert climate with high temperatures throughout the year. Its summers are extremely hot, with temperatures often exceeding 40 degrees Celsius, and mid to high 20s in the winter. So there we have it, some interesting, strange, and unique capitals. If you can think of any others, please do let us know in the comments below.